So let's talk a little bit about the fish farming, tuna farming. So you catch juvenile tuna and you bring them into these cages. Okay, you can see these circular nets, fish farms. Diameter is 50 meters or so. Depth 20 meters. Okay. And all you need to do is actually feed your tuna. And what you use as a fodder is sardines, and you also catch sardines in the wild. And they catch them actually mostly in Lower Spencer Gulf. So now what's the problem with that? What can happen? If not dispersed by currents, the organic matter, okay, the remnants of the feeding process ends up on the seafloor. Okay, it accumulates on the seafloor. So you have an organic load building up on the seafloor. All right? So if you now have a big storm, and you learned about swell created in the open ocean, it can actually be, if it's strong enough, can resuspend the nutrients from the seabed and mix it into the euphotic zone, create a massive algae bloom, and lead to very low oxygen conditions known as hypoxia and the formation of dead zone, killing of the tuna in the end. So now you might say, oh, well, it never happens, it will never happen, it's all safe and it's all good. But it actually did happen. And this is what happened in the early years of tuna farming. Here we go. Here are the initial locations of the tuna farms on the left side. So we're in the lower portions of Spencer Gulf, near the entrance. And this is where Port Lincoln is. And on the left side, you see an area which is called Boston Bay. So you have an island in the middle here called Boston Island, and a bay around it, which is fairly shallow, less than 10 meters. Okay. And then you have also another even more sheltered region. It's called Proper Bay. Anyway, so you can see the locations, the initial locations of tuna farms. And there was the big storm, coming, killing off 75% of all captive tuna in April 1996. And the percentages tell you where most of the kills occurred. And this was on the shallow inner side of the Boston Bay, behind the region. The island. And so now as a response to that, they actually moved the tuna farming zone further into deeper water. It's shown here above my shoulder. This is the new tuna farming zone established after this mortality event. And you can see this again here is the Boston Island. And they moved it into deeper water and into waters which is much more subject to flushing in the lower Spencer Gulf. Okay? So that's one. It's an important message. This is very important, in particular because there are new farms proposed. Okay, and in the future there will be more farms proposed for other regions, including the upper Spencer Gulf, which are much more sheltered from wave influences, from current influences, and there can be much more problems in the upper reaches of the Gulf. All right, so this is one example related to tuna, okay, and to the feeding of tuna with sardines. But there's another example also associated with feeding tuna.